Hi guys, it's Karina from Ragebreed. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to be doing a show tonight on fear and confidence. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to sort of get into the different types of fear. Now, those of you that are on my Facebook probably have read a little bit about this already. And I decided to do this because right now my net's down, my main internet's down, so I can't build any proper shows, but I can do a talking podcast. So I thought, well, this is a time I can do Ragebreed Mind, Body and Spirit, and it will help some of you that do battle with fear and also believing in yourself when it comes down to confidence. Okay, so the thing with fear is, this is coming from someone who has experienced real danger, but I've also experienced fear which has been healthy fear. So for example, job interview, taking a relationship to the next stage, you need a bit of fear for you to overcome to advance to the next level, so that's okay. But then you get sort of reactive fear. Now this is very common in, say, PTSD. So for example, if a soldier from war had lots of load bangs and he would die for cover when he was at war, okay, your brain is in a state of fight or flight. So for example, say if he was in a room watching TV and all of a sudden there's this massive explosion, okay, his reptilian brain, which is responsible for fear responses, will then see that as a threat, and his action was to hide behind the couch, duck, basically run for cover. Even though he's safe in the house, it's not a real fear. This is what we call reactive fear. Okay, it's a fear that is based not on the actual truth, but it is a fear regardless, nonetheless. And that's happened because the reptilian brain has remembered that when there's a loud noise, it means a bomb may be coming, and therefore I have to hide and quickly look after myself. And that's what causes the response reaction for you to duck, for example, or hide or get to a safe place. The reptilian brain is all about survival. Okay, so that's why a lot of people, when they've gone through difficult relationships where it's involving abuse or physical abuse, sexual, emotional, even if it was just a bad breakup, it ended badly, you will find a lot of people will have this sort of fear of getting back on there with a new relationship, with a new person, because previous experience, the reptilian brain has now said, right, when you say I love you, this is what happened as a result. You broke up or you had this awful thing happen to you. And so as a result, the reptilian brain is like, you know what, let's not do it. Let's not do love. Let's just stay in the safe place. And it just wants to be comfortable. It's a bit like having this, it wants to keep you almost completely safe from any kind of fear. But that can be really unhealthy, because it also means that you'll miss out on relationships, you'll miss out on going outside and having fun with your friends. It means you miss out on loads of different things. And there needs to be a healthy amount of fear, because some fear is actually important. So I'm going to go on to now explaining what real fear is. So real fear is, say for example, someone came at you with a bat and said, I'm going to kill you. Okay, that is a real fear. You might die. So your body will go into fight or flight. Okay, so that's what I call a real fear. That's something that is an actual dangerous concept. Say if there was a poisonous snake around you, for example, that's a real fear. It might bite you. So these things are, rational, actual fears, and it's there to protect you. Okay, so everybody has got, this reptilian brain out to try and defend yourself, if need be, go into fight or flight, and that's a healthy fear. Okay. Now, sometimes we experience fear, like, for example, if you've ever been in a situation where you like someone and you get butterflies and it's really intense and you're like, oh, I'm so scared to go up to him, or, that's like a really cute fear, I call it, because that's like, when you fall for someone and it's scary and you're beginning to first get to know them and you've got these emotions and you want to kind of, but sometimes that fear can be really intense, and especially if the other person's very afraid as well, you both feel the same way, and so there's all this like fear lodged in both of you, and sometimes it can stop things from actually going forward, because there's this fear there, like what if it goes wrong, what if this person doesn't like me, and what if this person rejects me, and what if I'm not enough, and you have all these things going on in the back of your head, all these, and that is, and sometimes fear is, you can have a little bit of that, but what a true courageous person, regardless of all that, will make it happen, okay, regardless of the fear that is there, because we're all going to have a certain element of fear in those situations. It's a bit like before you go to a job interview and you're about to go in and you're about to face the person and the job, and you really want to go for it, and and you get this little fear, I hope I don't mess it up and I don't have this, and what if this happens, and we all have an element of a bit of nerves, of that fear, and that's okay. That's like everyday life fear, okay? That's like normal fear. Everyone has that. But when it prevents you from physically doing the things that you want to do is when it becomes a problem. So it can be debilitating fear. So, and this is when we talk about anxiety and we talk about panic attacks, and, you're so afraid, to the point where your body shuts down, or it does physical responses, because, and that's the difference between sort of a normal fear and fear that is, very big and it affects the whole of your body and things like that. And this is why I talk about meditation so much, because what meditation does is it changes the brain physically, because loads of different studies have shown that when they injected a certain amount of dye in the brain, this dye basically showed at the person at its worst fear, situation. So they were anxious, they were depressed, panic attacks, things like that. Injected the dye pre-meditation, okay. And then they did a scan and they put, a few people under, meditation, concentrated meditation for about 20 minutes every day, and their mental health improved because they were able to concentrate more. Because what meditation does is a lot of your fear-based symptoms is connected to the subconscious, and that's connected to previous experiences, okay? So what tends to happen is when you're living in the past and when you're living in situations whereby you're really, really traumatized, for example, over something, it can then lead to triggers in everyday life, and that basically is what happens. So imagine that everything that you go through is like logged in the back of your brain like a reel of film. So everything that's happened to you is like a reel of film, and your subconscious is processing that in the background, and you revisit memories and you revisit, certain things that have happened in your life or whatever. Okay, so imagine that's going on. Now, when something traumatic happens, your subconscious basically snapshots that, and it's almost like having a Polaroid snapshot like in the middle of nowhere in the back of your subconscious, whereas everything else is going like a reel of film, it's so shocking that it's like a Polaroid snapshot floating about, okay? And then whenever there's a trigger, so say for example you could be talking to someone, they may say a word that reminds you of something, or there's something like something's happened, and what that does is it triggers a response in your subconscious. That Polaroid comes bashing out, and that Polaroid is such an intense feeling that it gives you very intense feelings of fear, of fight or flight, okay? And that's when your body is responding to really difficult situations. So your body could be responding to lots and lots of panic attacks. You could have hyperventilation, your legs may go, the fear is so intense, it's almost like you're feeling so helpless, and you get all these different feelings, and as a result of that you may even get depressed, because you can't function on a normal level. You're constantly worried about what people are going to be saying about you, because all of a sudden they say something, it creates a panic attack or anxiety, and that's it. So, but this is, the main thing to remember is that you are not going to die, okay? You wouldn't, even when you have, severe symptoms of panic attacks, anxiety, things like that, you are not going to die, okay? This is just because your body has responded to a trigger and it's come back up. And the best way to deal with, a current panic attack is you see, when you have a panic attack, it's a very emotional response, because it's triggered from a thought which made you feel something so intense that your body has reacted the way it has. So how you get rid of that is you change the dynamic of your thinking at the time. So what I say to people when they're experiencing panic attacks is, you breathe in for 5, you blow out for 5. You just concentrate on your breath, nothing else, just your breath. Be really, like, when your heart's racing, breathe in for 5, breathe out for 5, okay? And the other thing that you do is you concentrate on an object. I know this sounds odd, but what happens then is it shifts your focus from your subconscious to that thought to something in your conscious brain, which is describing an object in front of you. So if you ever get a panic attack or severe anxiety, look at the wall. What colour is it? Is it grey? Is it, this? Or maybe there might be a vase of flowers in front of you. Talk about the flowers in your head. Become logical. Go from extreme emotion to logic. I'm here, I'm in the present. That is a flower, that is a vase, that's got daffodils in it. And what that does is it takes away all the, emotion from the panic attack, if that makes sense. And as long as you do your breathing exercises, it should calm down after a period of time. Now, if you did meditation, say 20 minutes a day, roughly. I mean, I do meditation 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. And I also listen to sound meditation as well. And if you guys have this app at all, I don't know if you do, but there's some really good apps around at the moment called like Headspace, which is really good. And these are really great things to help you sleep if you're an overthinker. And the other thing I would also suggest is, I know this sounds odd, but yoga has really helped me as well. Now, it hasn't completely cleared all my panic, because you never know when that situation is going to come up, because a lot of the time it is about trigger responses, and if you're not really hanging around that many people or talking to that many people, chances are your side effects are going to be quite minimum. And everybody has little trigger points. Like, for example, say if you were bullied at school and someone said something. Say I don't know, they made a joke about your nose or something, and then later on in life someone else, but say you were bullied quite badly, you know, and it really did affect you. Let's forward into the future, and all of a sudden everything's good, and then someone at the table when you're in a restaurant says, oh, you know, oh, that's all right, you know, this person has a big nose, or says something about your nose. And all of a sudden, you may find in that situation, even though it was a bit of a joke and a laugh, which, you know, you could end up getting a bit of a panic attack and reacting. And we call this reactive fear, you know, because it's something that has reacted to your so it's basically giving you a trigger point, and you have now reacted because of that trigger point. And sometimes you get into it, and that's why people get into fights and things. How dare you call me this, da, da, da. But, you know, a lot of it can be rationalised. Say for example, if someone did you know, bully you, whatever, you've every right to stand up for yourself, and you're entitled to feel upset about that, you know. But, you know, that's all a whole different show. But I mean, you know, when it comes to real fear, the real fear is this person is about to attack me. Okay, so if someone has attacked you and hurt you physically, like with I don't know, say if a guy was coming up to me with a baseball bat and say, I'm going to kill you, well then yeah, you would be very, very scared to, you know, your body will go into self-defense. You'll either go into fight or flight. You'll either run away or you'll stand up and you'll fight, because that's what your reptile brain has geared you to think, if that makes sense. The problem with your reptile brain is that sometimes it can take over a lot of your life, because it wants to be cozy and safe all the time. And the problem with it's like, you know, if you ever get that feeling where you're like, oh, I want to stay in bed, I don't want to do anything, oh, it feels nice and warm. Your reptilian brain loves that. It's like, yeah, you're safe. You're safe in your bed. You're safe and warm. No harm can come to you here. It loves you being in bed, warm, safe, because you've got all these lovely emotions, you know. But then the problem with that is that you need motivation to get out and do the things that you have to do. And your reptilian brain, you know, so for example, all of us have likes and dislikes, okay? So things that you have to get done, like you've got to clean your house, you've got to clean your room, you've got to do, you know, the basic duties of life. But it's hard work, right? It's not a pleasant role. So your reptilian brain will be like, oh, we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it another day. That's because reptilian brain wants you to feel happy and safe and secure, and, you know, but it will get in the way of you completing your goals, okay? So it's always, you have to remember that reptilian brain is responsible for your fear receptors, okay? It doesn't know the difference of whether it's a good fear, like, for example, trying to get that job, or a fear to try and obtain your goals or start a new business, for example. This is why we find so many people so happy just chilling, you know, because there's no risk. They just like to chill. They don't really do much, and they don't really accomplish much. And to be fair, it's up to them how they want to live. You know, if people are happy doing that, no problem. But then they aren't going to obviously get to the point of where you can have a successful life with lots of wealth and holidays and big houses and things like that. So it's all down to really what you want. You know, if you're happy living on breadlines, you know, and sometimes we can't help but live on breadlines because there's, you know, you might have conditions that disable you from doing the things that you want to do. And, you know, but this is where I always say to people, there's two things that you can always do regardless. You can learn something, or you can always learn something, okay? And you might have problems learning. So say if you've got learning difficulties, yes, you will have problems with that. But find support for you in order for you to learn something if you would like to take that path. And the other thing is you can sell things, okay? How well you sell and how well you do that is dependent on you know, how whether your product is what we call, you know, a popular product. You know, and this is the thing, you've got to sell products that are going to appeal to mass market. So something that you might even have a niche, you know, a niche market that you want to sell to, but everyone can do that from home. Everyone can start an online business and try and sell something. Now, they won't always be successful, okay, but I always say to people, turn to education, find out what you enjoy doing. Is there something that you enjoy doing? If you enjoy doing something, go do it. You know, if there's something that you're interested in learning in, you know, there's loads of courses now that you know, you can get which are like free at the minute. Level 1, level 2, level 3 courses even sometimes. And you can get lots of CPD courses for free. And I would like to make a recommendation to read courses. So if you go to the Read website and everything, they've actually got, I know they usually specialise in jobs, but they do have courses available there as well. So if you want to check that out, there's lots of different courses on there, and some of them you can buy for a tenner, and some of them are CPD qualified, you know. As like I say, if you want to go through a proper academic course, by all means, but make sure that if you do choose something, that you are genuinely interested in it and you want to do it as a career, because there's nothing worse of going to college, doing something that, you know, you thought that you would want to do and then leaving it halfway through, or not finishing the course, for example. So, you know, it's those kinds of things that you've got to remember. So they're the options that are available to you, and obviously, you know, it is hard for a lot of people at the moment, because with COVID and all that kind of stuff, it does make things very difficult. And I feel a lot of people say to me, Karina, I get the fear with just going out, social anxiety, because I've been so used to staying at home and, you know, during lockdown, that I've just got used to just being sort of a hermit and stuff. And yeah, COVID's still around, you know, that's a rational fear. That's because COVID is still around, and potentially, you know, people may still get it. There's people that I know that, you know, got COVID and, you know, have died and stuff, you know, so, but, you know, I'm fully vaccinated. I've had all my vaccines done. Have I had COVID? Yeah, I've had COVID. But at least I survived it because I was high risk. So that's the main thing, really. It's just making sure that you are protected and all that kind of stuff. So let's go back into now confidence. So a few people said to me, you know, I really lack confidence in what I do, and I find it hard to go for the things that I want to do because I think I'm going to mess it up. So most successful people, you know, I've read so much, and I've watched a lot of videos of successful people, and what they say is, you cannot worry about fucking up. It's okay to make mistakes, okay, because making mistakes is part of the learning curve to make you brilliant at what you do. So say if you made an error, say a few years ago or something, don't keep dwelling on it, because it's what did you learn from it, and how have you progressed from it? And this is the thing, as long as you progress from something and you become better at what you do, that's when you know you're doing something right, okay? Now, a lot of people have different ways of doing things, and a lot of people said, Karina, how do I do this? Because my mum says I should do it this way, my dad's saying I should do it this way, my friend says I should do it that way, how should I do it? And I'm like, well, for a start, you need to think about what the best way is for you, because you can't people please. If you really want to go for your goals, you cannot people please, because what then happens is if you put all your energy into people pleasing, you will never get anything done, and then you lose your identity of who you are. So stop people pleasing, do what works for you, and you know, if it's scary, like I said, a healthy amount of fear is fine, but don't let it stop you from being courageous. And I always say to people, be like a lion. Go for what you want. If it's something that you want to do, go for it. Don't worry about all these, what ifs. Because most of the time, right, we call it the what if game. What if this happens? Well, you've survived things before in your life when things went wrong, haven't you? And what did you learn? So even if something goes wrong, what did you learn from it? Always think of things as opportunities to grow and learn. And that is what most successful people do, because it doesn't matter if they fuck up. It doesn't matter if something doesn't happen on time. It doesn't matter if something, doesn't go according to plan, because that's life. Shit happens. You just have to work with it. You've got to work with what gets thrown at you, Like, for example, I'll give you an example. This week I wanted to get all the shows all sorted out this week for my radio. What happens? The web's not connecting, so a technician has to come out. So I can't do anything about that. This is what I call external factors. And external factors are elements that are out of your control. But what is in your control is what you can do if something wrong happens. So that's all you have to do. You have to remember that. So the main thing to remember is, number one, you have to believe in yourself. You've got to say, I can do this. These are called positive affirmations. If you don't have that, your self-talk is always going to be, it's always going to be, it's always going to be negative, or it's not going to, it's not going to work on time, if that makes sense. So you've got to always think about what you're saying to yourself. And what I call this is your internal dialogue of what you say to yourself, okay? Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the brain, just a little bit. Your brain is like a sponge, and it soaks up everything around you, okay? So if you're being told off, it will soak it up. If you had a nice experience, it will soak it up. So what you've got to do is, your brain is like always attracting and thoughts, okay? It's like a little chaos of thoughts. So we all know that everybody has lots of different thoughts, okay? Now, what you need to do is decide which thoughts that you are going to act on, okay? So if you're getting negative self-talk, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not... So these are just your fears. So that's called your fear-based talk. And it's a negative internal dialogue, I call it, okay? You have to consciously change your internal dialogue, and you can do that through positive affirmations. So have like a sort of a ritual in the morning. I am enough. I can complete whatever dream that I set out to do. I will learn everything that I need to do. It's things like that. I am beautiful. I am this. I'm confident. And these positive affirmations will then go into your subconscious, and it will start to believe it. So your thoughts will start becoming from a negative internal dialogue to a positive one. Okay? So, and that's what you want. You want to have a positive internal dialogue. Now, there are some things, like, for example, say if there was, I don't know, something on my face, like, I don't know, like I went to a meeting, we had dinner, and then all of a sudden there's this blob of salad cream on my face. Okay, it's quite funny, but yeah. But say a night I walked out, okay, that's not a positive thing if I still think I look beautiful and great when I've got this blob of mayo on my face or whatever, or salad cream. So someone would normally say, Karina, you got a bit of, salad cream on your face or whatever. Oh crap, and that's fine, because okay, a negative thing happened and I didn't look great, but it's okay because I've wiped it off. Do you see my point? So some constructive criticism is good, because it stops you from being completely blindsided to what you can actually do. So it is okay to have some critical, advice, but it's not okay to have it constantly at you, because what I call these people are fault finders. And what they do is they continuously find a fault just so they can beat you down, okay? And they do it because it gives them strength to feel like they're more superior than you. And, it is insecurity in them. So it's always always remember that when people put you down, it's insecurity in them, okay? Because you didn't ask to be put down. You didn't ask for their opinion. They decided that they were going to target you and put you down, okay? So when it's people like that who enjoy putting you down or get attention of it and they have no problem, these people are narcs, these people are sociopaths, because they don't care how it will affect you. All they care about is that they're right, you're wrong, you're going to be punished, and that's it, okay? So what you need to then do is decide whether, number one, you rise above it and ignore it, which you can do, but to be honest, it doesn't solve the problem. It can do sometimes, and to be honest with you, I use a bit of both in my situation. So what I tend to do is, if it's a really serious rumour, then what I'll do is a video and I'll iron it out with evidence, because evidence is stronger than hearsay, okay? And then the other thing I do is, if it's just, but you see, the thing is, you don't want to keep fighting battles. You have to choose your battles. So otherwise it will consume your life. And really then what you're saying is, I'm just going to pander to you whenever you decide to bully me or put me down, okay? So what you have to do is decide when you are going to do it. So just set aside some time when you will, put your effort into explaining things of why you do what you do, and stand up for yourself with the evidence. But then also I would go on about, go about your day and stuff as normal and continue to do the work involved in order for you to complete your dreams. Now, a few people have said, Karina, I'm really scared of trying to do what I do, but then being judged for it. So I'm going to tell you this now. If you want to be successful and if you want to be well known, you will always be judged. Always, okay? Social media is now like this cesspit of judgment. That's what it is. It's unfortunately it's the way forward. I mean, if you think about it, if anyone puts a status on, they've got an opinion on it, okay? So you have to be really strong within yourself to say, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, take it or leave it, okay? Again, constructive criticism is fine, but not where it's constant. That's trolling, okay? And that's not, and the thing is, the difference between constructive criticism is people may say it to help you, become better at what you do. And then there's some people that are just haters. They just want to see you fail, and they want to, knacker up your self-confidence and your self-esteem so you fall. And that is something that is completely, wrong. That's what you call abuse, okay? So what you have to decide now, if you want to go for your dreams and you want to do those, do these things, you have to completely almost dissociate from these kind of, opinions and stuff, because otherwise you will go mad trying to please everybody, and you just can't do it. There's everyone will have an opinion on what you do, and they will tell you their opinion on why you should do it and how you should do it and why, and you have to just say, you know what, that's you, and that's fair enough, you do things that way, but this is me, and this is how I do things, and it's okay, and and that's the thing. It's like you have to be your own person, and there's strength in that character, because one of the lessons that I got taught when it came to fear and not standing up for yourself is that you repeatedly are like a punching bag for narcs and abusers, okay, emotionally and physically, and you have to 100% remove yourself from that situation, and you 100% if anyone tries to bring you down, you must stand up for yourself. And that's called having self-worth. Okay. A lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to not say anything. And I did that for a very, very long time. In fact, I even moved. So, I didn't have to deal with any of that. And instead, what happens is they form groups of people that hate on you because they know that there's no consequence. So a lot of your confidence has to come, okay, from the fact that you believe in your decisions and what you do. Even if it's not right for other people, it's okay. It was right for you, and you do things the way that is right for you. And it's okay to say, let's agree to disagree. Do you see my point? Because even if someone has a different way of doing things, it doesn't mean to say that they deserve bullying, abuse, harassment, that kind of thing. It's okay to say, I don't agree with how you do things, but I 100% will not bully you about it, because people are all different. They're all wired up differently. They've all got different ways of doing things. You put, 20 people in a room and you ask them to watch a film, what will happen? They'll all have their own different opinions on the film, and not all of them will be the same. Some people will be like, oh, well, I liked it, but I didn't like this bit. And especially if you've got someone in the room that doesn't even like horror, So, say if I put a horror film on, and there was like a few people that are into comedies and they weren't really into horror, they're going to have negative connotations of that. So you're never going to be able to please everybody. So never take it to heart. Always believe in yourself. And as long as you have that power within yourself not to let other people's opinions get to you so much, you will go a long way. And there's going to be times, I'll tell you something, the more well-known you get, the more famous that you get, the more the more haters you will get. There's a great video that I posted on Ragebreed Against Bullying. There's 2 videos about haters, because a few people were talking to me about this, and they say, I have haters, I don't know what to do. Go and watch those videos. It's really, really good. And, don't let anyone stop you or bully you out of doing what you love doing, because that's when they've won. And we're not going to allow that, because negative people that are nasty, abusive, sadists, sociopathic narcs, those kind of people, they don't care that they hurt you. They only care that they're getting attention from it. So, you have to remember that. Just keep doing what you're doing. Remember to keep giving yourself positive affirmations. Spend your life doing what you love doing. Get good at making some money from any kind of part-time business or just work in general. Do the things that will help put a roof over your head, that will also and also a hobby that may make you a little bit of part-time money, or maybe something that you just enjoy doing as a hobby. It's entirely up to you how you decide you want to live your life. But what I will say is this: if you want to be successful, and I wish someone had told me this, you will have to deal with a lot of opinions, and a lot of people that are close to you that you thought were your friends end up not being, because they don't want to see you more successful than them. They're okay, like in the beginning when you're first starting out, because they're like, oh, she isn't going to get anywhere, and then all of a sudden, woo, you've started to do this, and this, and this, and, and then they'll either support you and think well done and be inspired by you, or they'll just bitch about you and hate you and try and compare you to your other friends and stuff. And this is the thing, you find out who your real friends are. And it's in a weird way, it's a kind of a good process, because what it will do, it will separate all the people that are toxic, who will end up hating on you or being that two-faced frenemy, to people that are actually really supportive, loving. And when I talk to a lot of big stars, in a lot of the things that I talk about, and we talk about when they actually acquired the fame and everything, and I say a lot of them actually say that in their own hometowns, they didn't get the support. And it's interesting. I went on a course with John Lee, and he said he's had racism, he's had all kinds of abuse and stuff. But what he said was, what happens when you have haters? He says they form a group, and all that group will collectively put their time into trying to bring you down. He says it happens when you start getting successful, and or you're on your way there, if that makes sense. He says that will always happen. So you have to be strong enough to be able to handle that. So part of confidence comes from believing in yourself and not being easily led by other people. I say this to a lot of my clients. They say, I was going to do it, but then, my friend said this and that. And isn't it funny how his friend said this and that to try and warn him off? Stop listening to people that are obstructing your goals, okay? Stop listening to them. Because the only thing that you know for sure is your life path, okay? That's what you should be concentrating on, is your life path. And also how it's going to get you from A to B, okay? So it's really important to, have people around you that are rowing your boat, not people who are trying to sink your boat. And the thing is, there's so many people that love to do that. And you will only find a great community, right, if you choose to hang around the right people. And if you're around people that are bullying, that are nasty, two-faced, bitchy, of course you're going to be paranoid. You're going to be literally like worried about what they're going to be saying about you, because that's their nature. That if you hang around a bitchy crowd, sooner or later you'll end up being like them. It's like when you get a rotten apple in a fruit bowl, and you may be the nicest person, but if you start hanging around a bitchy clique, let me tell you, the person that you were will soon change. And it's because, it comes down to basically the people that you surround yourself with. So you've got to make sure that the people that you surround yourself with are good for your well-being, really, really important, because if you're around people that are not, you're not going to reach your goals, because they're going to constantly keep trying to put you off doing your goals. So I was watching this documentary on fear, and it seems to me that most people are afraid of judgment. That's the thing that they fear. They're afraid that they're not enough, they're afraid of being judged, and they're afraid of it going wrong, okay? Well, I can tell you now, those things will happen. You will be judged. There will be situations where you make mistakes, okay? And you just have to be strong enough to say, it's okay if things go wrong. It's okay if people judge me. It's okay if I'm still learning. People put so much importance on perfection, but actually it's through your mistakes that you actually build to become the best. The amount of, superstars, even footballers, he says, when they've had failures, it just made me learn, and it made me practice more. It made me educate myself more. And if something from your past where you've done something not completely, I don't know, say if you made a mistake or you had some sort of bad experience, you still have to keep going. Because if you love what you do, you must keep going, and you must always, remember that the only person, right, who's responsible for how your life is going is you. You can't keep blaming other people. Well, this happened to me. Well, this happened to me. Take responsibility, because if you keep blaming the outside world, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong, and oh, well, I can't do this because of this, you're always going to have excuses. Don't be an excuse person. Think, how will I get this done? I am worthy of getting this done, and this is what I want to do, and I'm going to go out and get it. And that's how you do it. And it's okay to feel fear during that process as well. You know, you're not going to get rid of fear, but you can minimise it by, you know, making sure that, well, like I say, one of the key things for me is exercise, meditation, you know, looking after your mind, body and spirit and stuff like that. Eating right and all those kind of things. You know, and building yourself up and removing toxic from your social groups. And look, you know, it's okay if people slip up from now and again. I know that that's going to happen with some people. You know, people have different kinds of you know, disorders and all sorts, you know, so I know it's going to happen again, but obviously, you know, as long as it's not detriment to your life, you know, that's the main thing really. Because I've stayed in situations before whereby it was detriment to my life. And that's the situation where I had to stand up for myself and leave that bond because, you know, it was abusive emotionally and physically. So it's not that I haven't gone through these challenges. I've gone through a lot of different challenges. But the thing with me is I try to use the experience for good. So whatever I've gone through, I don't, you know, I don't, what's the word? I share it, of course I share it, but I don't stay there. I actively stay in the present in order to get stuff done. So one of the things that you should do is when something bad happens, okay, you must have some self-soothing time to process. So take time out if something bad happens. This is what I did when I found out about, you know, the death of one of my friends and also my other friend that's currently in hospital and doesn't have long to go. Take time out for yourself and self-soothe, process everything that's happened and then self-soothe. So how it works is, so something bad happens, okay, you'll have a reaction to it. Then what you need to do is take time out to actually deal with it. So don't just dissociate yourself from it. Take time out to process what's happened. And during this time, don't be scared of negative emotions because you have to release those emotions. If you need to cry, cry. The thing that I used to do was I used to just not cry. And it would just be built up for a long period of time. And then all of a sudden, woo, lots of tears. But now I think I've got a healthy kind of outlook. So, you know, I react to fear when fear is present, you know. So say, for example, someone says, say if I'm in a relationship and the guy wants, you know, or I'm in some sort of online thing or whatever, and we've built up to a certain point, and then say the guy wants to start dating other girls and stuff, that is a fear of loss. That's a fear of losing that relationship or bond. So you are going to feel, you know, fear, okay? So you will have that in your life. You will have situations where you're going to get fear. And some of it is, you know, if the person has hurt you before, you're bound to have that kind of fear again, if that makes sense. You're bound to have that kind of fear if the person has hurt you before. So it's just being able to analyse, okay? And, you know, this takes a long time. You have to process things. You have to think about how you can get from a bad place to a good place. And you have to discuss things. And communication is a massive thing. you know, when it comes to relationships and stuff. And, you know, something that I'm finding very difficult, and I will be honest about it, is it's hard to trust people. You know, it really is. It's hard to trust people if you've gone through such negative experiences in the past. You know, so really it's about building trust, but ensuring that the person you're trusting does have the capacity to be honest and truthful with you. You know, and you know, that's what's important. Trust is very important, but it takes time to build. You know, it really does. And I think any kind of person that is dating in these ages and stuff, I think you have to be cautious. You have to give 50% trust and let the 50% be earned. And I think that's a healthy balance, because it's what they do, it's how they react. You know, say for example, there was a guy that came on to me now. I would say no to them straight away, because I have feelings for someone, and I honour that bond by being respectful to the person that I love, and say no. You know, so that's how it works. It's, you know, but you would hope that same treatment would be happening in return, and that's where you need good communication. That's where you need to build up trust, you know, and that's how you take your relationship from A to B. So don't worry. I mean, I've talked to so many people about fear in relationships and fear in, you know, in all kinds of different situations. But remember, you are you, and you've lasted even after difficult experiences in your life. So really, trust and confidence and fear, all those things, believe in yourself, and believe that no matter what happens in life, you've got, you know, believe that you were able to get up from anything that goes wrong. You're a lion. You know, have that courage to go for what you want, and work through any problems that may arise, you know. And it's about building each other up. That's the main thing. For me, you know, I always say to my friends, support each other. Support your friends, support the people that you love. Make sure that in your relationships that you're supporting each other, and, you know, you defend each other. Those things are important. And always, if there's a goal that you want to obtain, you can do it. You just have to put a plan together in order for that to happen. You know, you can't just let life pass you by in fear of not achieving the things that you want to achieve. You know, and that's what I believe. You know, so I hope that this episode has given you some insight to fear, and how to develop confidence. Really, I think, is to do things for yourself that are positive. You know, like I say, mind, body and spirit. Look after yourself, look after people that you love, and ensure, and like, look, you can still go out and party and have a night out and stuff like that, and you know, have a great time. There's no harm in that. But what I would say is, you know, then if you know you've done that, the next day, detox it up. You know, make sure that you detox, so you're looking after your organs and stuff. You know, that's what it's about. Everything is about balance. And as long as you're balancing things up, there's not really a problem. You know, so that's what I would say. And do things that make you feel happy, you know, because life is you never know when it's going to be taken away from you. So do the things that you love to do. Be around the people you love. Be around your friends that love you and support you. Make good memories. And just ignore the bullshit of life, you know, just ignore it, because, you know, there's always going to be bad people. There's always going to be shitty things that are happening around the world. But if you put your focus on that, you're just going to get depressed. So, you know, there's the difference between, you know, taking an interest in what's happening in the world, but don't let it take over your life and make you feel so down that you can't function. You know, try and look at things, try and focus on your life path and what you want to get out of life. Focus on getting, you know, your meditation right in the mornings. And these don't necessarily have to be, you know, religious or anything. These can just be like normal chakra meditations or just, you know, there's so many different types, you know, you can just YouTube it. And we're definitely going to be putting out some guided meditations later on this year as well. I've already got one on Ragebreed, so if you want to check that out, go to Ragebreed TV on YouTube, and if you put in Ragebreed mind, body and spirit and 10-minute chakra meditation, you'll find it. And that meditation is really, really good. It's really good to relax you, and I've been told a lot of people have found it really helpful, and they're really finding our page helpful, which is what we want. So yeah, so I hope that, you know, that you guys find value in this podcast, and I hope it helps you, because that's what I try and do most of the time. You know, I'm always trying to help other people, and I do hope that this has given you some value and some insight into fear, into how to become a bit more confident, and positive affirmations. Like I say, you must have that in your life. You need to change the negative internal dialogue into a positive one, because only then things start to happen. If you always are negative, it won't get done. So you have to change your internal dialogue, and also make plans. Organisation is key to getting your goals. Now, as you guys know, I'm a life coach, so if you need my help, I'm always here for you guys. Okay, so you know, you can basically go to my life coaching page. It's Karina A Sher Life Coaching. You know, I've got some time available over the next few weeks. So if you do want to book in a life coaching session, let me know. It's £50, but it's say £30 if you're on benefits or you're a student. So £50 if you're you know, working. £30, you know, if you are literally on the breadlines and stuff. I do believe in helping other people, and it shouldn't have to be that expensive. So I do that per session. I suggest you book in a series of 5 sessions. You don't have to pay all together, but definitely do pre-book, so you know we can have a look and monitor your progress. And yeah, you know, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. And if you ever need me as a friend, just drop me an email or drop me a message, and I will gladly help you out. So hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I hope that, you know, you find value in what I've said and done. Remember to click like to Ragebreed Mind, Body and Spirit, join the group. And if any of you want to be interviewed about any success stories with Mind, Body and Spirit, drop me a message, drop me an email. It's Karina_Ragebreed@hotmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I will speak to you soon. Look after yourselves, guys. Keep it metal, keep it Ragebreed.